Hello, everybody, and a hugely warm welcome to you. It's overtime, you know, NBL Overtime. Well, actually, it's behind me. You can see it there. And it's also probably on the bottom of the screen. That's where you can find out, where you can get involved. Hashtag NBL Overtime, all the socials. So much going on, a lot going on. But to tell you what, the Hall of Fame is in the house. Lanard Copeland.
What's happening, Cam?
Is that white or baby blue, that shirt?
Oh, you're a funny man.
Well, what is it?
It is baby blue.
That's nice, man. I like it.
Thank you,
I like it. I'm good. Pete Hooley is in the house.
Oh, it's been a big talking point, hasn't it? This T-shirt of yours, I should say T-shirt. It's a nice shirt. Copes, it doesn't matter what colour it is, you look great in it, mate.
You do.
And there's plenty to talk about.
Do you know what somebody said to me during the week?
Oh, talk to me.
They said, Pete Hooley, he's Ian Clark. And I said, what do you mean? They said, he's a six-man who plays starters minutes and he deserves more time.
I was wondering.
Somebody actually said that to me.
Oh, it's because I didn't win an NBA championship. I was trying to figure out. And, well,
why you talk like
yeah,
it's
it's true. It's not over yet. Birthday's coming up.
Play good defense too.
That was my star in your role, Cope. Star in your role. That was your Cope. You would get buckets and then star in your role outside the court later on that night.
Lots to get into. Hashtag NBL Overtime, as I touched on. We're going to start with this. The Perth Wildcats, because they are on a heater. Yes. They had a huge weekend and they beat a team on the Friday night that were playing really well, and then it trumped on the weekend when they won out. And then they went to Sydney, where the Kings were pretty good, to be fair. But in the end, they're the hottest team in the league. I'm going to start with you, Copes.
Yes.
They could finish on top. How important is it? This whole top, we've always pegged Melbourne as a team that finishes the number one seed, but Perth are coming. How important is it to get the number one seed?
It is very important. They're the hottest team right now. Melbourne United are playing good basketball. They're a little bit up and down. They've lost some players. Perth, these guys are in rhythm. And to be in rhythm at this time of the year, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. They know when to get caught in the ball. He's shooting. He can close his eyes and shoot the ball the way things are going right now. The crowd's behind him. Really letting him play. He's playing 40 minutes.
Yeah.
He feels good. As long as they stay healthy, they could, if they do finish on top. But here's the thing. Melbourne United have a pretty good record in Perth.
They do.
So.
See, that's what I was going to go. You talk about how important it is for them to potentially finish top and home court advantage. In the last few years, the jungle hasn't been feared, right? Everyone was like, okay, we can go over there, we win in Perth, they were losing a lot of games. But I feel like this year, they've actually built it back up to be a place that now it's the fortress, and they go in there and they're feeling good. The crowd is obviously up and about, and it can be a daunting place to play against.
It's amazing how home court advantage can actually be directly correlated to if the team's any good or not, right? So for the last couple of years, Perth haven't been overly great. I know they made the play-in last year and they missed the playoffs the year before and all the rest of that. But now they're really good. They're the best they've been in the last 3 years. And the fortress, again, is really supplemented by the Red Army and 13,000 of them. Now, there was one time that finishing number one actually did come back to hurt Melbourne United when they finished two. And you were in that championship series in 2019. And the whole general consensus was at some point Melbourne United are just going to probably win this series. And in the end, they beat you in 4 games. So there's actually some recency where we can look at what the difference between finishing first and second is, because you were part of that Melbourne United team. The Wildcats won the championship behind Bryce Cotton, and you were the two most dominant players in the league.
Trico White as well. But again, they in the fourth game, and we fully expect to take care of business on the home court. We didn't do it. So it is going to be interesting, because for a few weeks ago, we were like, well, Melbourne will finish first. That's locked in. And Perth will finish second, and maybe have a little joust with Tassie. Now it looks like it's just a 2-horse race. And the run home is going to be interesting to look at for both these teams, because the way they're playing, we have a look at Perth's run home here. Illawarra trying to bounce back. We know what happened last time between these two teams. I don't think that result to that degree will happen. The Phoenix, we'll talk about them a little bit. Breakers, Cairns, Illawarra and Tassie again. Illawarra again, then Tassie. So it's a
good run home.
It's a nice run home for Perth.
It is a really nice run.
And they got Sar to come back if he does.
He'll come
help
back.
them out. If he comes back, that team's rolling right now.
And the percentage isn't that far away now after
it's not.
What happened in Tassie to Melbourne United and Perth. They continue to do that, but we'll have a look at Melbourne United's run home as well. Do you want to have a quick look?
Yeah, let's have a little look, because it is interesting. I find them in such an interesting spot, Melbourne United. There you go. Brisbane is a tough weekend. Of course, Brisbane away, who are playing so particularly well. Sydney, who I thought were pretty good on the weekend, just got beat by a better team. They might beat Phoenix by 78. The Breakers, what?
No, keep going.
That may be a little bit too far, but Phoenix are on their knees. Breakers, of course, is in Melbourne, and then, of course, the end go to Cairns.
Those last 3 games, though, could be you're having 3 teams play for their season.
And Cairns are very good against Melbourne United.
They are.
They're the only team. They beat Melbourne twice?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's going to be very interesting to watch. But this is the beauty of NBL 24.
Right.
And again, no team refuses to lay down. So who knows what's going to happen?
You touched on it, Copes. The fact that Bryce Cotton is, well, in fact, Bryce Cotton and the groove and the rhythm he's in right now is extremely hard to stop. Yes. And Pete Hooley never could do it, but he's going to try and tell us how is the best way to do it.
Well, Coach might be able to break it down, but when he gets to an ISO situation, it's basically game over unless you can try and dictate, because you can be at his mercy. And we have some clips here to break down, but when he rises up with the ball in his left or right hand, you've got to try and make a decision. Otherwise, right there, you're at his mercy. Matt Kenyon's just there. He's going to bait you. See what you do. Okay, you're going to retreat. I'm going to rise up and shoot a three. As soon as he rises up into that little bit of a hop, again, okay, we're going to see where you're at. Are you going to jump forward? Am I going to step back? I have the ability to go past you. Gets a little bit of separation, knocks it down. If you stand still, the thing he's going to do right now, a little in and out, try and get downhill, freezes the big fella, gets downhill. And the problem is, if you're reactive against Bryce Cotton, see, you're at his mercy right now, right? You're just trying to hope that he misses. If you're reactive, we're going to see what we see nearly all the time. 4-point plays, because all of a sudden you realise as soon as that ball goes up in the air in that right or left hand, okay, I've got to react. And as soon as you do that, if you're slow and he rises into a shot, you're going to foul him and he's going to go down and knock some.
You know what I've noticed on those clips? Every last one of those guys had their hands down. He's the best shooter, one of the best shooters in the league. But I got a different way to stop him. I mean, I don't know if it would happen. I'm going to send a double team at him on catch. So when the ball's thrown to him, as soon as he catches it, I'm sending that second man. Mm-hmm. Cotton's not selfish. He's not going to try to shoot over two guys. He's going to pass it. Now I'm going to deny him the ball, or so he can't get it back, or when he does get it back, it's 2 seconds left on the clock, so he's got to rush a shot.
Problem with denying him the ball now is his motor's better than anyone in the league, right? So he just keeps running off screen.
Of course.
But you're right, as hard as it is, and again, it's more of like when I was trying for the couple of years there, as soon as he got the ball, you're crawling in, get past me, and then you're the trees problem. You're the big guy's problem. I've done my job, not letting you settle and get comfortable. But a lot of the times right now when he's in this kind of groove, if you don't do the work early, you're at his mercy. Oh, yeah. And he's got counters for everything, and then you just have to go like this.
He's very good. He's very good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that.
Look, I've seen guys
That's why
that
you're the number one basketball analyst in the country.
He's very good, but Illawarra shut him down.
Now they did that. They did.
1 for 9. He was what?
Yep. No, hang on. We're going to get to that in a moment.
Okay.
Because there's a reason why they had success against Bryce Cotton, which I'll explain in about 4 or 5 minutes' time. I will ask you firstly.
Sure.
Melbourne United. Are you concerned at all?
I'm only concerned if Shea Ely is not playing, because Shea Ely is the king of that team. When I say that, I mean
he's their heartbeat.
He runs the show. Yeah. He gets the guys in the right positions. He plays great defense. He has the best IQ of the guards they have, I think. And it's proven, because last year, what were they, 3-9? 3-9 last year without him. Mm-hmm. As soon as he came back, they started rolling. He knows how to get Golding the ball. You know, he knows how to play defense and shut guys down. So if he's not back or he's not healthy, I'm a little bit concerned.
Well, I mean, we saw it against Tasmania for Melbourne, right, because of the Shea Ely absence. And the same with Joe Luala-Chul. They went into Marcus Lee, Will Magnay. They can kind of just try to do their best to wear down Aria Hook-Porty, get him into foul trouble, do all of that. But the key was, and we said it off the top of the game, okay, normally you'd have Shea Ely go to Jordan Crawford, Delhi go to Milton Doyle, right? Milton Doyle had 2 points when Tassie had 87 points on the board. Yes. And Jordan Crawford said, okay, I'm going to have a favourable matchup at times. And the problem was, if you try and flip and put all your energy on Jordan Crawford, then everyone else gets off. Jack McVeigh was great. I think Jack McVeigh, Clint Steindl and Jordan Crawford shot 10 of 14 from deep. But again, who sets the tone? You talk about Shea Ely. He's the heartbeat of Melbourne United. And it's no surprise that they look completely different without him. They know that. The rest of the league knows that as well.
It's hard to play point guards. It's hard for Delhi to come down, set the team up, and play hard-nosed defense on the other hand.
But it's funny you say that. That series we touched on before, I know you don't want to talk about it, but Casper Ware had to chase Bryce Cotton for 4 games, and it just wore him down, and offensively it hurt him. So that's something to keep in mind. Same what I'll point out about that game, they barely missed Tasmania. They shot so particularly well. But you know why? They got great shots. Yeah. They got really good shots. So when people say, oh, they didn't miss, it's like, yeah, you know why? Because they ran exactly what they did. They got it to their right people. Milton Doyle didn't have a big one. We've touched on him the last couple of weeks. But no worries with Melbourne United. But
they're both due back this week. So JLA was a game-time fitness decision from what I believe. And he joined the team after missing some time for personal reasons, and they just wasn't quite ready. They had a big gap, right, until they played Brisbane. So it wasn't going to be worth rushing him or Shea Ely when you've got time to get another 7 or so days of rest in.
But this is what happens when you have a great start to the year, right? And you've got a little buffer. Like, we're talking about first and second and what it all means. But you're right. Melbourne United have been really good in our RAC Arena in the last couple of years. They're like, okay, cool. We want to finish on top, clearly, but we need to make sure our players are ready to go come playoffs. And if it means that we drop a couple of games we probably wouldn't have or shouldn't have, then it is what it is. Tassie, do we trust? Scott Ross said we might lose the next 6. Now, it hasn't turned out that way. What do you think?
I don't trust him if Milton Doyle is not playing the way he should be playing or the way he played last year. Crawford's fantastic. We love him. McVeigh, fantastic. We love him. But they need Milton Doyle because he calms everything down. He takes great shots. But if he's not shooting the ball, they're not going to beat a lot of teams. I don't care what you say.
Mm-hmm. I'll add it to more of your questions. Do we trust them? I trust them in a series, big time. I do.
With Milton Doyle,
they've lost 3 games by a point and 2 by 3 points. Yeah. So in all of those close losses that we keep talking about, the Tassie have been faltering, Scott Ross press conferences, they've been right there. They've been right there. So they fixed a couple of pieces like that before the end of the season and go into a 3-game series against someone. They've got the weapons. If they can get it done, that clutchness, they've been there, they understand about a semi-final series. I think I really do trust them in a series. Now they've just got to get out of the play-in tournament and get to a series first.
There's pros and cons. There's pros and cons to that stat because there's, a real push. And we touched on this last week. The fact they are right there and can win almost every single game they are in. But then they haven't won those games. So they need to find out what that actually is, how they actually turn that around. So there's twos and there's
But that's why I think that in a series,
right?
when you're playing the same team 3 times, they can tweak that or whatever. I'm worried about the play-in tournament. If they lay that egg and then they lay another egg and all of a sudden they're in Mexico.
They're the third best team in it. So they would have to lose. They'd have to lose to say right now Brisbane and then Sydney at home. I think they'll be in a semi-final at a minimum. But you are right. There are just a little concern when it comes to winning games late. Who's their X factor? We started this as X factors around the league, so we've got one each, but yours is in Tasmania, right?
Yeah, Will Magnay. I mean, we talk about Milton Doyle, but you look what happens when he's not there, and it's a completely different team. His presence around the rim defensively, yes, he might not put up a heap of points, but the way that he was going at Aria Hook-Porty, these two just going body for body, just banging down low, was so fun to watch. And they're a completely different team when they're out here. And speaking to Jordan Crawford a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about defensively, Scott Ross said they need to be better. Jordan Crawford, guys like Anthony Drimmick, I mentioned with Bryce Cotton, they know they can be a little bit more aggressive because if you get beat, someone's going to have to try and shoot over Will Magnay. And then when Will Magnay sits down, in comes Marcus Lee, and he's been good at a rim protector as well. The only query I have about Next Factor is it does have the capabilities to pick up early fouls. He played 1 minute in the first half, and I asked him about it after. He said, look, it's on me because we know what Scott Ross does. If you foul twice in the first half, you're sitting, and that's what Scott Ross does.
That's another reason why I could be concerned. If somebody gets into foul trouble, Scott Ross not changing. They're going to sit there the whole half.
Who you got? You're Shayley, right?
Shayley, 100%. Yeah. Look, he's only averaging 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. But it's his leadership on the floor, his IQ. He's a smart player. He's done this year after year after year. Look at him. He's in your face. And you spoke about being in Cotton's face and not giving him any space. This is what I'm talking about right here. And then on top of all that, he knows how to get these guys the ball. Golding, at one stage, was struggling when he was out. Now Golding gets that ball at the right time, the right shots, and they're full of confidence. But Shayley, to me, if he's not playing, I'm a little bit concerned about Melbourne United.
Has it been strengthened, his Defensive Player of the Year consideration, whilst being out?
Yes.
Absolutely, 100%.
Because they're not the same team, right?
They're not the same team. But look, some guys like to play defense, some guys love to play defense. That's just his nature, though. He's strong. And that's his nature.
And our X Factors are the guys who can put up 15 to 20 points a night because they don't do that. Will Magnay Shelley doesn't do that, and I've got a feeling yours doesn't do that either.
He doesn't, but it's Ty Webster. And you mentioned that Illawarra game where they doubled Bryce Cotton and they got it out of his hands. And I think it's the last time they've lost. Well, they lost to Melbourne in overtime, but I don't really count that. Their latest worst performance was when this guy was out. Now, I think sometimes we underrate him. He's an international. He's put up numbers on the biggest stage. He's played internationally as well, and he's been a very good player when he's been here at different times in the short amount of time that he has for both the Breakers and the Wildcats. Now, we did see Southeast Melbourne Phoenix guard him a little differently a couple of weeks ago, which clearly didn't work. But
didn't guard him.
But that's also true. But you have to think outside the box, but you need to be careful because this is the type of guy who can take the game away from you. Bryce Cotton's going to give you 30, right? And that's the thing I like Melbourne still with Shea Ely and Matthew Dellavedova because it's different looks and it's tag teamed and you can quell him a little bit.
Well, he still gets 30, but he has to work.
You got to work.
Really hard.
You got to work. If Bryce Cotton is at 11 of 26 in a grand final series game, Melbourne predominantly will probably win that game because you've had to really make him work for it. You've tried to bang him around. Ty Webster just stands up and handles it. That's what happened to Illawarra. There was no Ty Webster. Was he sick or he definitely didn't play?
Ty Webster, he's probably not getting enough credit. He has a little bit more recently, but since this turnaround, he has bought into his role to perfection. And even the stuff talking about him as a culture piece off the floor and he's a character, we know that, but it's got them in a really good space.
He could be the most confident player. And I love watching him because he's going to make a face or he's going to do something crazy that people love to see.
And you know what? Bryce Cotton, I'm not saying he didn't have this with previous players, but Bryce Cotton seems to have absolute trust in him. Absolute trust. And I think that's built over the time, late last year, into the off-season and all the rest of it, which goes a long way to making them good. All right.
I think he trusted Damo as well.
I think he did as well. I'm not diminishing. But he had to learn, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Damien Martin was there. Whereas Damien Martin's team and then Bryce Cotton had to slide in. Norton had been in the league and had been really good for a long time. All right. Who wants to start? Southeast Melbourne Phoenix.
Well, what do you mean? Who wants to start?
Well, you go then. You go.
Finish. Well, look, obviously they're struggling. We know this, okay? It's how they're losing now. That's what worries me, okay? And I know they got injuries, but every other team has injuries as well. You can't lose by this many points. Some kind of way you got to slow the ball down, or you can't run with these teams when you don't have your starting five, okay? Or whatever it is. To lose by this many points is deflating, it's disappointing. You go in that locker room, you walk in that locker room and you're down 30 points or 28 points at halftime.
Yeah.
You know there's no coming back.
Just before, can we just put that graphic back up, please? I just want to make a point of something before we get to Pete Hooley's thoughts, right? So they're round 11, they lost to Melbourne and they got belted, right? On a throwdown on a Thursday night. 4 days earlier, they went to Sydney with barely anyone and belted the Kings. And we sat here on this show and I said it may be the greatest win in the franchise's history, most certainly in a regular season, to go there, silence the crowd, 15,000. And that is what they have dished up since. And you are right, Copes. Like last week, I know that Alan Williams isn't there and he's out for the year. I know that Craig Moller isn't there. But they do such a wonderful job in the community. They do a wonderful job with the grassroots basketball.
The new stadium.
The stadium's unreal. They roll in against an Adelaide team who was last, missing Wiley, and they're 28 points down at halftime. And that's the thing. It's not about losing games because, unfortunately, losses, there has to be a winner and a loser. It is the way that they aren't giving any fan, regardless of where it is, but most certainly even more disappointing last Wednesday night. So
if they look up and get a win, too, they're barking.
Well,
shut up,
I think
man.
the barking's done, but I think I'd
hope so.
I think there was a players-only meeting after the game the other night, and again, it's probably
game?
Not the first one either.
After which game?
Just again speaking about all of that kind of stuff.
No, after which game?
Adelaide
game.
Well, it didn't work. They got belted by New Zealand.
What? Again, New Zealand is...
What?
Again, New Zealand everyone smells blood against the Phoenix, right? Everyone understands
of course.
Well, players, owners, mainly me.
Well, it was, and then Copes was trying to say to me, you know what it feels like to be down 30. It only happened once, mate. It only happened once against Perth. And then we had MMA the next morning. We beat the crap out of each other, and it was the hardest thing of all time.
Right.
But again, and
it worked.
It does. A lot of it does become a mindset thing, and they're in a bad place right now, so it's just got to try and come out here with some sort of aggression.
What has to change?
They've got to have some free swings, right? This is what Adelaide's been doing. Adelaide, since they were bottom, everyone's like they're done. They've just come out with free swings, nothing to lose. Now that's the Phoenix. So you got to come out there and you got to play with that kind of aggression, that kind of energy, and just see what can happen. You might not win, but you're going to go down swinging, right?
Yeah.
And again,
that's all we're asking for.
They haven't they honestly haven't swung legitimately in that graph you just seen. We've seen Christmas night. That's it.
You talk about X factors. He's not the reason that it's all, but since Craig Moller got hurt, when you in that starting lineup, when you have a piece like that who doesn't need the ball, they're just going to go in there, he's going to play defense, going to get offensive rebounds, just hang around. Those kind of players who can impact without needing the ball are hard to find. Those glue guys, Hiram Harris for Perth, another one.
Was cutting Cummings a good idea?
He was a little chirpy on the Instagram today.
Was he really?
Saw that? Yeah, he had a little.
Hello.
Here we go.
Hello. Oh.
So Will Cummings, and that is verified, which means that is 100% him.
Look, we can all sit here and say we shouldn't, whatever. It's like, you know what? That'd still be bad.
That's right.
They weren't overly good with him here. Now, I'm not saying that it was his fault, absolutely, because they had injuries to start the year, but geez, it wasn't like they were the best team in the league all of a sudden. But yeah, the way they are losing.
The way they're losing.
What do you do? Like you said, free swings. That's all well and good to say that because I understand perfectly.
Well, I think
how do you do it?
I mean, I know
their best players putting up numbers, and like Mitch Creek is still playing decent basketball.
I mean, it's the challenge. Mike Kelly, it's the challenge is going to be thrown to him now. So we've got to come out. And again, you talk about what are you playing for? Well, one, you're playing for pride, but also you're playing for next year's contracts and what's going to happen next year. And we talk about what could happen going forward and the team makeup. And there's no surprise there's going to be a few changes, you'd think, in terms of personnel.
I got a question, though. They've had injuries for years, and for the last 3 years, the last 4 years. Why are these injuries happening? My question is it the preseason training? Are they doing too much? Are they doing too little? I don't know, because every team has injuries, but not as many as the Phoenix in the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, it hurt them in the last couple of years, no doubt. And again, the injuries they've been dealt a horrible hand. Mike Kelly's been dealt a horrible hand this year. And again, you still need other players to step up. They still have. It's not like they're just filling the court with training players, right, and development players. They still have their roster players who are able to go in there and try and get it done. But if we want to do end on a positive, that complex looks incredible. They've done a very good job.
No, they've got a great place to train.
They do now. They do recover.
And on that particular question, Cobes, I'd have to go through and just have a look at the injuries, because too many people are like, all these injuries, someone's got to get fired, or someone's to blame. Sometimes freak and this happens, right? The bang and knee, like when Creek banged his knee and stuff like that. Bang to bang injuries in games. Soft tissue is a different thing. Molar, freak injury. So there's no one to blame for those type of things. We'd have to go back and have a look. But you are right. The frustration must be tenfold right now in the nest. All right, quick break. Wherever you might be around Australia, get involved. Hashtag NBL Overtime, all the socials. There they are right there. Back with plenty more next. Right around Australia, it's NBL Overtime, and this man is having one hell of a season. Isaac Humphries. We know the story when it comes to injuries. We've seen him do this early in seasons before, and then injuries and sometimes freakish have slowed him down, but right now his body is holding up perfectly. He's enjoying his basketball and he's doing pretty much whatever he wants right now in NBL 24. He's a big part of the Adelaide 36's resurgence in recent times. Olgun Ulich joins us. Hello, big man.
Hey guys.
What up?
What's going on? I like this as a white shirt. That's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, everyone wants to join.
It clearly looks blue on film.
Thank you.
Agree to disagree.
Plenty of Adelaide going on. Let's start with Isaac Humphries. This is a great story. His body has continually, unfortunately, let him down, but right now he's fitter than he's ever been. He's getting that luck. I'm going to tap wood. And right now, it's fun to watch him play.
He's playing really good basketball. He is probably, if outside of Bryce Cotton and Trey Kell, like the informed player over the past, 1 or 2 months.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's to a point where obviously the 36ers now have a desire to come to the table. They have come to the table, so those talks are currently underway. Whether anything gets done, we'll see what happens. But he's playing at a level that Adelaide 36ers are interested. I've been flagged from a few other teams that they're interested to get into the picture. But he's just playing incredible basketball right now. And then you look at the Boomers down the track and you think of sort of the dearth of big men that Australia has had, and there are a few in the NBL this season.
I spoke to him about a week and a half ago, and he said the reason he's playing so well is because they're looking for him. They're throwing the ball early in the game, and he feels a part of the game. He's rebounding well, he's shooting the ball well, but the first 2 or 3 plays, they get it inside to him, and he feels like he's a part of this team now.
I think even more, Pill, on the weekend. No, Jacob Wiley, of course, helps a little bit when it comes to the structure, and obviously Galloway playing as a bit more of an outside sort of 4. I think it worked even better, so maybe something to look at next year. I love Wiley. I love Jacob Wiley, but if you find a 4 that can shoot it, if Wiley's not coming back, it probably even makes him, Isaac Humphries, even more valuable to this team.
If you look at Isaac Humphries over the course of his career, he has been one of the most skilled bigs that has ever come through Australia. And it's just been injuries that have sort of halted his development. Now that he is healthy, they've got Nick Popovich over there in Adelaide now. He's keeping his body right, and so he looks like one of the best bigs in the country.
He's probably going to end up at this rate being in the All-NBL first. You don't think so?
No, it's in yes or no. I didn't want you to ruin the segment.
Oh, well, mate, sorry. I'm just, we're talking about thing, and then
now I'm going to need a new question.
Done.
Now I'm going to need a new question.
Is my shirt white or blue? There you go.
Well, Nick Popovich is there because of Isaac Humphries, right?
It was like not a package deal,
No.
but he was a big part in convincing Isaac
Yes.
to join that team.
And it's worked particularly well. What do they do when it comes to Trey Cal? Also, you mentioned that playing really great basketball. Do they wait for a new coach, be it Brian Goorjian or otherwise? Is it Scott? Who knows? But do they wait before signing, or they sign these guys and then the new coach is just like, well, I've got Trey Cal and Isaac Humphries locked up?
Well, like I said, they've come to the table with Isaac Humphries, so they want to get that deal done. Trey Kell is someone who's playing really, really good basketball right now. Honestly, outside of Cotton and Humphries, it's probably him as the most informed player in the NBL right now. They have not come to the table with him as yet. That doesn't mean that they won't. But
When you say come to the table, do you mean they haven't even started contract negotiations?
that's what I've been told.
Yep.
And then you obviously have DJ Vasiljevic, who is sort of the other piece of that three-headed monster that's winning a lot of games in Adelaide. All of a sudden, they're part of the play-in conversation somehow. But he is someone who they are engaged in talks with. I reported a few weeks ago on the marketplace that they wanted to come to the table on a multi-year deal. He didn't have representation at the time. He does have representation now, and so those talks are underway. They're progressing very well. There will be a multi-year deal on the table, probably a 3-year deal in front of him, and those talks are progressing quite well, from what I'm told.
I mean, it makes sense. And again, Trey Kell has been unbelievable of late. And so have Adelaide 36ers. But how much of it, as we mentioned just before, is the free swing and just kind of playing loose, playing free? Everyone's already wrote us off. We've had all these changes. We've started so poorly. Let's just go out there and play. And they're playing loose and they're playing free. Do we buy into that side of things? I'm definitely... DJ and Isaac Humphries, I'm looking at definitely to lock in for next year sooner rather than later. I think you can have a great foundation to build off there. DJ's been fantastic this season. We still, as the season goes on, you talk about most improved player conversation. He's going to continue to sneak his way into that conversation.
I got a question for you, though. Do we sign these guys and not know who the coach is going to be? Because then guess what? If you bring a different coach in that runs a different structure, are they guaranteed to play the same way? Probably not. So, yes, they're playing great basketball right now, but if you got a coach, the coach is probably the most important part of the system right now.
I think you sign Isaac Humphries and you sign DJ Vasiljevic.
Yeah, I think you start with
the
two.
cornerstone of the Australians makes it a lot easier.
Sure.
You probably leave Trey Cal. He's been so good, and it's a iffy one. I will say there's a yes or no question that solves a lot of Adelaide's issues before the end of the show. And I can't believe it hasn't been raised yet, but we'll get to that. But I like where they're at. Scott Ninnis must be happy, right? Because, again, house money, free swings, all the rest of it. But he's coaching, or at least the team is playing well under his coaching. So we have to give him the credit, as we do. He's coaching well. What is this? Does this blur or murky the coaching conversation from the front office?
So to an extent, if Scott Ninnis somehow leads this team to a play-in berth and they maybe go on some sort of considerable run, then you have to consider him for that job, right? As of now, it doesn't seem as though that he is sort of at the top of mind when it comes to them feeling that eventually vacant head coaching position next year. There is still word that they want him to be involved in some capacity within the organisation, which makes sense because he has given his all to that franchise and they like what they're seeing. But I think it would take a monumental effort for him to be retained as head coach.
I'm going to ask you all a very, very simple yes or no. Just answer it individually.
It's not time for that.
Well, too, I'm bringing it in. Has Scott Ninnis done a better job than Justin Tatum? Yes or no?
No.
No. Oh, I think it's just where the Hawks were at, and again, last year
Where they
as well.
were,
I keep saying the word violence.
I think we're forgetting how bad. Like, I think they've
Adelaide's
both done
the same.
both nice job, but Adelaide were in all sorts.
Well, you won't let anybody sit on the fence, but I'm happy to jump right on the middle of that because they've both been great. But I think Adelaide, all that Scott Ninnis, all the play control is you just keep winning games. Let everything else happen. You just keep winning games. And again, shout out to the fans. They rock up whether they're going to be losing games, whether they win games.
They're competitive though.
Yeah.
Every game they are in every game, which is what we want.
Control the controllables. I can't believe you just cliched me, but it is what it is. Right? Let's go to you, Illawarra, because that Justin Tatum news has been bubbling around for a bit. But I'll ask you about Gary Clark first. Where does that currently sit?
So from what I understand, they are still engaged in conversations with him. They want to keep him. Whether that is mutual, I've yet to find out. But as of now, the Hawks do want to retain him. They're deep in conversations with him.
Has there been another club asked the question?
Not quite. They did
Another club
previously.
won't?
Yeah.
They're going to be other clubs that ask the question.
there has to.
100%.
But we're at a point now where when you look at the 36ers, when you look at the Illawarra Hawks, there is part of what they're doing now. They may not make the plane. They may make the plane, but they may not. And so what they're trying to do now is sort of set a foundation. And so if you're the Illawarra Hawks and you can set a foundation that has Justin Tatum, that has Gary Clark, potentially has Tyler Harvey again, it creates like a lot of sustainability going into next season.
And I'm not worried about the three. I know they hurt these 3 losses from the Hawks, but it shouldn't change any of the thinking around Justin Tatum, right? Because they've been close. It's a lap man buzzer beater, the way they bounce back at times. So we still need to see what happens. But again, you've seen, the fans are rocking up now. They're enjoying the way the Hawks are playing. This is a thing, you give him an off-season to build his team the way he wants. All of a sudden, it could be very exciting, Phil.
Yeah, and I think that's something that the fans, and you touched on it, there you go, Illawarra fans haven't always necessarily rolled up in big numbers. Adelaide's have. But the fact is you can gain momentum, you can get positivity that leads into an off-season, and both Illawarra and Adelaide on and off the court have done exactly that.
With Justin Tatum,
Yes.
I think I understand it's a 3-game losing streak, and on paper that doesn't look great. But I just don't think we can ever underestimate the idea of a coach having a relationship with the ownership.
Yeah.
And that is what Justin Tatum has. And so while this seems like a little blip, and obviously the indicators are fine. They didn't lose those games by 20 plus points. Right. He has a good relationship with Jared Novelli, the owner. They go way back. And so I don't think that 3-game losing streak will have any effect on the talks happening between those two
Not as
parties
enticing
right
as
now.
the Mauls Balls in Adelaide, though. That's the place you want to be at. You wouldn't even know.
What the hell is the Mauls Balls?
It's in Rundle Mall, right?
It's
in Rundle Mall.
Thank you. This
Actually,
uncultured person.
I literally thought you meant some type of adult establishment. Where are we? DJ Hogue. Where do we sit with DJ Hogue, or where the Sydney Kings sit?
That's funny.
So DJ Hogue, he was a good chance to play last weekend against the Perth Wildcats. He will be back relatively soon. He will travel to Melbourne. They have a game against Southeast Melbourne, which very well could be like a trap game.
Yeah.
The Sydney Kings can't sort of rest on their laurels right there. But he should be back sooner than later. He will travel. There's a chance he plays but against the Phoenix, but he will definitely be playing again sooner than later. And the same goes for Jonah Bolden. Yeah. He's got some knee soreness, so he was out last game. I imagine he'll be back relatively soon as well. And that's the other thing with the Sydney Kings. They're missing their second best player, and Jonah Bolden.
Hold it. Now, let's talk about that. They're missing their second best player. They missed their second best player for the beginning of the season. They had Kwat Noy in there, who averaged, they both averaged the same amount of points. They're both shooting at the same percentage. So, because he's out, why can't you perform the way you were in the beginning of the season? That's the question I got.
But I'm just thinking about integrating a big piece. He's still a massive piece of their puzzle. You want to get that, you're going to have multiple games to figure out the rest of the rotations now, whose minutes change, Noy's minutes change, Tui's minutes, Galloway, because DJ Hogue, if you go into a playing game where it's do or die, you're going to want those guys to play 30
That's
minutes.
right.
And let's remember, when Hogue missed the start of the year, they were playing good basketball, which surprised a lot of people as we thought they were going to take some time to gel. So when he come back, they struggled. Not necessarily DJ Hogue's fault, but exactly what you just spoke to did hurt them a little bit. Any other news before we let you go, mate? Got anything else for us?
Not yet. Not for now. Maybe later.
That's,
You got something. You got something.
There's always like a bit of something, but I can't say everything.
Okay.
Just
give us a team. Just give us something.
I'll wait for Olg's notebook. He'll put it out.
I will.
Okay, you can find that on Twitter, by the way, or X or whatever it's called nowadays. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
We'll get to a break. Plenty more NBL Overtime coming your way.
You know you got something for him. Give us something.
It's NBL Overtime, wherever you might be. This is what happened, and this is a big weekend and a big ending. Mayan, bang! And considering these two teams, when it comes to play-ins and it comes in to winning late season games and garnering momentum and excitement on the road against an Illawarra team that has been really good. Great handshake. Taj McCall's up and about. His energy's contagious. Miller was so unselfish in that last play. They get the offensive rebound. They win the game. We'll get to what happened on Sunday in a minute, but that is huge, and that's what you touch on. The fact is, this play-on game, or play-in games, means every game from about January 2 onwards means something, and that was huge.
It's funny that you can't even get playing tournament out because it's supposed to be the Cam Luke tournament, isn't it?
Well, it hasn't actually been named after me, so I give it scant respect.
Firstly,
huge.
That
was a great idea by me.
The buzzer beater from Latmane, that's full credit to Adam Ford for having his players always ready for opportunities. Bullquall fouled out, McCall fouled out, Armstrong fouled out. If either one of those isn't out, it's probably Latmane not even on the floor. So for him to be on the floor and to set that thing never look like missing, and that's what 40 does. Everyone's ready to go for whatever instance is needed in the games. But this is what we've seen from Cairns all season long, right? At their best, or not even at their best. That wasn't their best performance by far, but they still did enough to get the win. But the flip side of that,
just back on that Adam Ford. I've never been recruited by Adam Ford. yet. But I have a feeling that's what he instills from the first time he sits down with any person.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what, we're small time, no one rates us, but always be ready because at some moment you're going to get an opportunity. And every single player on that roster has had an opportunity in crunch time and feels it in NBL 24. And I think that starts from conversation number one.
But is that the reason why they're so up and down, though? They're a young team. He's changed his lineup maybe 11, 12 times. And probably because of injury, I get it.
Yeah.
But you got to give them a little credit for the way they play and the way they're always in the game. I'm at home sitting on the couch, and you go to down 20, and you're doing the other thing, and you come back and look at it, and they're down 2 or they're up 1. So they're always gonna have a fight, up and down. But they are the most Jekyll and Hyde team in the league.
What are the things you're doing?
Nothing.
They are. I mean, it's exactly right. It's the you never know what you're going to get. If they play Melbourne, you know you're going to get an elite Cairns Taipans outfit. The lineups and everything, I think it goes back to the preseason. Ball Qual, key piece of them. He was hurt. We know he missed time before that. Taron Armstrong was hurt. They went over to America. They had all of these issues. They never had enough preseason or enough time at a full, healthy roster to figure out what's the rotation. Are we going to go 9 deep? Are we going to go 8 deep? Who's going to be our starting unit? Who's going to be our closing? They just haven't had that consistent period to figure that out. And they're trying to do it on the fly. I think that's what Forty's been trying to do. And to be honest, I think he's thinking also, we have this youth to be able to say, it's going to change every game. But the flip side of that is you get kids playing at times that aren't up to what they need to be mentally locked in certain games.
I got one question for you.
Please.
Josh Roberts, why bring an import to Australia and not use him? Because it seems like when they do play him, he does well. He plays well. The reason Lat made that 3 was he knocked the ball out. He's always doing something.
He's energetic.
He played super great against Melbourne United. Why not? Why
I think there's certain matchups, right, that he's good against.
He's an import, though.
Yeah,
okay, I'm talking
again,
import.
but he's not.
I think he's a cheap import.
Yeah,
of course,
I would say.
Jalen Adams.
I'm not talking about the expense. I'm not talking about the money.
Yeah.
Why you can get an Australian to do the same thing he's doing? Why would
Well,
you?
I think the initial plan was that it was going to be the Sam Wunberg. We've got to remember he's battling something right now to come back from, and he's been down this year from what we all expected.
Sure.
I think Adam Ford, Cairns expected this from Sam Wunberg, Next Generation Award winner, to go like this. Yeah. He's had a rough year in terms of consistency, but I think they've still put their faith in him because we know how elite he can be and what his future holds. That not working out as well as they expected, I think, is why they went after Josh Roberts, because they say Sam Wunberg, he's going to play 34 minutes a game, or we're going to ride him. He's going to have a massive season. It hasn't happened, and they've had to kind of throw everything out of whack besides that. I think that's been a big key.
I don't know how much sarcasm is in the recruiting conversation from Adam Ford, but it was on a full display over the course of the weekend. Check this out from the head coach of the Cairns Taipans.
Yeah, they've been fantastic. So since David's been on the job for 6 months and, put out the zero tolerance, it's fixed everything. So it's nothing to do with the officials, it's everybody else. It's everybody else has to adjust. And so, we've got to do a better job of getting even more thinner over those screens. We've got to do a better job of verticality to the point where maybe you can collapse your chest a little bit to absorb a little bit more of the contact. Maybe we can do a better job of, allowing second chance points because you're not allowed to compete for the rebound. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But, we gave up 46 foul shots against Adelaide and we won. And tonight we gave up, 20 foul shots in the fourth and we won. So just keep throwing these things at us and it's only going to make us a little bit more ticked off about it.
Should he get fined?
No, it's too funny. That's a genius move.
I agree.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Again, but it does open a little bit of a door for what could potentially happen. One thing about 40 is he's always going to have his team's back, no matter what. 100%. And you would rather go down that route than another route.
True. Yeah.
So, again, that's the way.
Should he get fined? Should he get fined?
No, he shouldn't. No. I thought it was brilliantly done.
What happens if after another coach is unhappy, the sarcasm continues to go and just gets a little bit more closer to the line?
Well, then once you get on the phone and make a phone call.
Once you get to the line and you cross it, because it's quite obvious when you cross it. I don't know if any other coaches would go down that particular path, and I don't think anyone else would be able to.
I don't know if they have the personality to go down.
Be able to pull it off like Adam Ford did. So I look. Will he get fined? I don't know, but I don't think he should. I thought it was actually really well done. You know what?
It was good.
It's the best rivalry in the league. It isn't Brisbane and Cairns. It's Aaron Baines and Cairns, right?
Oh yeah. Well, it's the second time now. Look, this is that was obviously a retaliation. This was very well dealt with, I thought. After this, Yes, you're going to slow it down. Latmayan going in for seconds. Not exactly sure about that, but Baines is walking away. The refs are in there, and I thought they handled this just to throw out the double fouls. And then Baines, that's the dagger. He enjoyed that, and look, played really well, didn't he? Baines coming off the bench and having that kind of spark, and this is the dagger right here. But Latmayan initiated that with the hook, right? The initial stuff. But
I think it's great for basketball.
I agree.
I think the Queensland rivalry. Remember how the old Melbourne rivalries used to be back in the day, and they genuinely hated each other?
Yeah.
Well, I think these guys hate each other as well.
They genuinely hated each other. You just say we hated them.
Oh, we hated them.
Because you're in the team.
They hated us.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I'm saying, but I think these two teams don't
do.
like each other, so they look forward to.
But that's also the way to deal with it, right? You go into there, yes, you're going to have to separate it, calm it down. Let's have a look at the footage. It's just a double. It's a double foul.
Referees did a great job of that.
If you text someone and don't text the other, or throw someone out or whatever, it somehow does make it worse in the future, right? Because then there's a little bit more that goes on to it. You have that build-up going into the next game. Dealt with perfectly. And
that's much easier for the referees to have consistency around those type of situations. If they dish out a quick tech, then all of a sudden the next game have to do a similar thing, or the consistency isn't there. And that's, I think, what everyone wants. Just quickly, I actually spoke about Aaron Baines a couple of weeks ago. I think he's been really good for what they need this particular year. He hasn't got to the standard, I think, that everyone thought he would get to when he signed a couple of years back, but he's been great. But Tyler Harrison, he was good. And I think that the Shula's done an incredible job of being able to get the maximum out of the three-headed big monster.
Took him a while. And remember the 5 games that Baines was suspended? I think it wasn't until the 3rd or 4th game where Harrison realised, hang on, I'm that guy now. And he's been terrific, and he'll be in the most improved player conversation.
Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. A lot to get into. As you would notice, Liam Santamaria is not here. Again, another junket. But it's for a good cause. And I'll explain it next, right here when he joins us. NBL Overtime right around Australia. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. Of course, no Liam Santamaria in studio today, but we have been able to find him. He's out and about doing a great job. GM of the Next Stars, as we know, and he's out to find the next 15 or 16-year-old superstar Australia or New Zealand have. He's in Canberra, of course, at the National Performance Camp. Hello to you, Liam.
Hello, Cam. Good to be with you, fellas. Yeah, I am in Canberra. I'm here at the AIS facilities, and it's just gone quiet here in the background as the coaches get stuck into the kids. But yeah, it's the National Performance Camp. Top kids in Australia born in 2007 or 2008, which has made me feel very, very old this week. But plenty of great talent and good prospects on display.
Do you have actual meetings with these young kids? Do you have conversations and discussions and explain a little more about the Next Stars program? Is it all about you identifying talent and then those conversations, the major ones, come a little further down the track?
Really just scouting the talent, getting to know them as players at this point, Cam. The head coach here, Robbie McKinlay, he does a great job telling these kids, hey, listen, if there's somebody in the gym that you don't know, go over and introduce yourself. So a chance to meet and greet some of these kids and get to know them. Rocco Zakarski participated in this camp last year, and there's some high-level prospects year in, year out at this event. So it's a great chance to get a good look at them. The bulk of this cohort will make up Australia's team for the U17 World Cup coming up in Turkey later this year. So they've got a big 6 months ahead.
Now, Liam, who's the next big name? Give us a name, Liam.
Well, the headline name from this event, Copes, is Dash Daniels. Really, the younger brother of Dyson Daniels. Very, very high-level talent. Unfortunately, he's actually not on the court here this week as he recovers. He continues his recovery from a hip complaint. But he will also sit out the upcoming under-20 nationals, which is a shame. But 6'5", 6'6", point guard. Very, very highly skilled, high IQ. He's a kid you guys would take no surprise from the fact, I think, would be fantastic in the NBL Next Stars program. He would, I think it's a pathway that could be great for him. We would love to see him in it in future years.
Well, Liam, firstly, the AIS clearly paying their Wi-Fi bills. How crisp does it look on this cross? One of the best clear crosses we've ever seen. Any other NBL people there? Any other teams floating around, or is it just you?
Good question. A few teams are represented. Not heap. There's Jacob Picomas right behind me there, the former Illawarra Hawks head coach.
Getting exclusive.
He's part of the coaching group here. My man, Danny Mills, is right here. Say hi, Danny. He's got a big, he's got a big smile on his face this week, as you would imagine. The JackJumpers are represented. Darren Smith, their new COO, is here. Reece Carter, member of the Melbourne United coaching staff, he's here as well. So some of the savvy teams are making sure they've got an appearance here, and they're getting to know this young talent that's coming through the system.
So I'm assuming that all the kids, you mentioned earlier, go over and introduce yourself if you don't know anyone. No one came over. They all know who you are right now. You are the God maker. You're the man right now getting the gift. They all know who you were, right?
They were very keen to talk to Danny Mills, as you would it wouldn't take you by surprise. He's got the projected #1 pick in the NBA draft. Right now, his team's motoring towards an NBL championship. They've got the MVP. So everything's going pretty great out west. So they wanted to chat with Danny. And no, look, the reality is they're focused. They've got work to do here. So they're only here for a few days. And Robbie and, Jacob, the coaching staff here, are doing a great job putting them through their paces.
Just on Dash Daniels, just quickly, as you said, not on call right now. We're going to miss the Nationals as well. Look, Dyson didn't and wasn't a next day. Went over, of course, played in the G League with G League Unite. Does that change the way that you're going to approach any conversation you might have with Dash and the family? Like, do you look at it? Because it's worked so well for Dyson, it might be a little bit of the family or the young man going on the same path. How are you going to approach that, Liam? Let us know.
Well, I think that what is available through the Next Stars pathway is clear to see. It's a proven pathway that has helped a bunch of guys become NBA players, become first-round draft picks, become top 10 picks. Heck, right now, potentially the #1 pick in the draft. So it's proven for internationals. It's proven for Australians with a guy like Josh Giddey, the success Rocco Zakarsky and Alex Tui's having right now. You're right, Dyson had the experience at G League Ignite. I'm not sure everyone at Ignite this year is having a terrific experience with that decision. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting conversation. The reality is what's best for Dash is the best decision for him to make. That might be the college route. That might be heading to the States professionally, or it might be coming through the NBL system, which I think would serve him really, really well and get him prepared for a long and successful career in the NBA.
You mentioned the clubs that are there. Are you surprised that not all NBL clubs are represented?
I am a little, yeah. And I think that's the evolution for a lot of our clubs in their scouting department. I think you want to be across this type of talent. Danny Mills was here with me last year, and yes, I see him at the under-20 nationals, and then bam, he's got Ben Henschel on his squad, who's going to be a sensational player for that team. Others like Justin Schuler have a really good handle on the young talent coming through, and no surprise, he picks up a guy like Josh Bannon, who's been terrific for the Bullets. So I think it's important for our NBL clubs to be across the young talent coming through, and this and similar events, I think it's really important for them to be there.
Well, you talked a little bit about the Australian Next Stars and the success we've had there and going to continue to have. I'm assuming they're just not at that camp, but your phone's been ringing off the hook for the past few months about next year's Next Stars crop as well.
Well, yeah, it's very exciting. The guys coming through, we've got multiple projected first-round picks, including, did I mention the projected #1 guy, Alexander Sarr? So there is a lot of interest in the program, in being involved. It's not the best fit for everyone, but for a lot of guys, we could be a great stepping stone for them to the NBA draft. So, yep, lots of those types of conversations taking place right now.
And Liam, before we let you go, do you have your invite to the green room yet?
Well, thanks to Hools. It's on the agenda. So, look, I'd love to be there. I've been working hand in hand, of course, with Jeremy Lowliger in this process, bringing these guys in. He's done a terrific job running the Next Stars program for a long time. Vince Pravalli is now working with us in that space as well. So very exciting for those guys. Alex Sarr, Bobby Klintman, the other Next Stars who are making a name for themselves in this draft cycle. And it's going to be a big night, or actually a couple of days, the way things are looking for this year's NBA draft, with a bunch of NBL guys right there in the mix.
What's the better nightlife, NBA Summer League in Vegas or this camp in Canberra?
Loose heads, baby.
Look, it's a little quieter here in Canberra, Cam. I'm actually going to go catch up with the Tuis tonight. I'm going to go and have dinner with Kat and Mick Tui, who Alex, born and bred here in Canberra, and a good chance to catch up with them and chat about, the season it's been for Alex so far and his big decision coming up about whether to declare for this year's draft or stay in the league for next season.
Make sure you pay for everything, Liam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, hey. Tell you what, you got to remember, this is a man who actually persuaded him to say no to a great collegiate program to come back. So we know he's paying, and we know how persuasive our man Liam Santamaria is. Enjoy the junket, man. Appreciate you having 5 minutes to have a chat to us.
Cheers, guys.
It's Superstar. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. The best kids in the nation. No one is better at being able to find them and then hopefully keep them in the league than that man, Liam Santamaria. Very quick break. Are you doing Santa's watching?
Yeah, I've always.
Okay, and yes or no, that's on the other side of this.
Well, Liam's off at the North Pole, but we've got plenty of gifts to give away. Luke Travers falls down and then cops a falcon from Milton's Oil. That's not elite. He just puts his hands in the air. Says, what more can I possibly do? I'm trying to fight through. How's this from Jordan Crawford? A little shimmy. He was in the groove, coach. In this game. It was a big shimmy. It was a big shimmy, and fair enough too. That's that John really. Really TKOing Nico Fernandez. Any other referee probably goes down here, right?
Yeah.
Nico, he's built.
Good call, Steve.
Have a look at that. And I'm throwing him out still. You can't do that, JR. Hit a showers.
Yeah.
What is going on? I love New Zealand. I love what they're doing. But what on earth was going on here for the Breakers? Cobes, I didn't know what this was. There was plenty of things online. I still don't know what this was.
That's scary.
I don't know a single one of them either. I don't know if they had to hit a century mascot quota. They said, let's just do it in a game and we're done. No more mascots. There's a bit going on there, Ken.
Yes or no, you ready?
Ready.
Am I a muppet for calling Tyler, not Tyrell Harrison? Big man, you're on fire. I apologise. Yes, I'm a muppet. Ready for this?
Yep.
History again. Has Gary Brown been the most disappointing player in NBL 24?
No.
Oh, we're going both?
Yeah, we're going both, baby.
There's a lot of players in the NBL.
Well, yes or no?
No.
Will we have minimum 12 Aussies or Kiwis NBA Summer League?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is Bryce Cotton the only current NBL player that can score 50 points in a game?
Oh, no.
No way.
Should Adelaide try and get Will McDowell White and team him up with DJ and have an all-Australian backcourt?
It's going to cost a lot of money, but yes.
Yeah, that's not bad from you.
I know, it's genius. Will an NBL 24 playoff coach be coaching in Japan next season?
Oh.
You know something.
Probably.
Yes or no?
Always happens,
Yes
yes.
or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Beautifully done. I'm getting out of here. There you go.
Funny.